Much, Councillor Ramona Victor, colleagues, honorable political leader, members of the National Executive, fellow parliamentarians, local government, representatives, my brothers and sisters, all, I wish you a good night. Tonight, I want to share with you some information about what is happening with your money, your savings, and your earnings. Now, let us be real. When you start to talk about national accounts, many people roll their eyes, they yawn, some take a human break, or some fall asleep. You see, it is not exciting or entertaining to talk about government revenue, about government expenditure, subsidies and transfers and investments and borrowing limits and so on. All we know about the Minister of Finance is that he is an evil little man who seems to take great pleasure in imposing taxes, tax after tax after tax on our citizens. I will never forget how he sat and grinned and laughed as he raised gas prices time and time and time again, and had the shamelessness to say, but they are riot yet, I could raise it again. So said, so done, and you must never forget that man either, especially for that reason. But that man is responsible for spending your money, and he's supposed to be spending your money for your benefit. Over the last 9 years, Com Imbert has spent $529 billion. How much is that? $529 billion of your money. This is more money than any of us or all of us will ever see in our lifetime and in millions of lifetimes to come. This is your money, $529 billion. How has your life improved? I have always said that this government has the money in it. They have the money in it. What they have, though, is bad mind. What they have is malintent. They refuse to spend it on you because they don't have political will. They don't care to see you and your lives improve. So this is correct. This is more than half of $1 trillion. We're at a different level now. So where have they been spending these billions? Just $500 billion, as my good friend just reminded me. Well, you just heard from Dr. Bodo about how bad the health system is. And anybody going through the health centers or the hospitals now, any one of you know that they don't have enough doctors or nurses, they don't have medicine, they don't have equipment. You know you have to wait weeks and months for important critical tests and years for emergency surgery. This is not just a question of malpractice by the Minister of Health. That's a different issue. This is a question of resources, about money. Every one of you here tonight has been touched by crime, unfortunately. Every one of you. Every one of us knows somebody who has been robbed. Somebody has been assaulted, beaten, kidnapped, raped, or murdered. 2 days ago, we would have all seen the videos where a doubles vendor, this young lady, was dragged screaming by kidnappers, screaming. Those sounds will never leave my mind because of the level of desperation that there is. Christina Adet, from right around the corner, has been missing for the last 9 months. Just down the road, a whole family of men were lined up and executed just 1 year ago. Every day we hear about home invasions. The crime situation is the worst it has ever been. And while all of that is happening, ladies and gentlemen, the police service does not have the resources, the money to hire more policemen, to provide more police cars, so that when you make a phone call to get help, the police wouldn't have to tell you that they have no vehicles, because it is true they have no vehicles. I am blessed tonight by the presence of my young friend, a praying mantis, on the microphone here tonight. That's a blessing, ladies and gentlemen, because the UNC is a blessed party. So I was saying, this too is an issue of resources, where the police service is starved for resources. But ask yourself, where the money gone? Where has all this money been spent? I have told you all repeatedly, we have all said it from this platform, that you cannot trust this government. I wonder if you all will remember this. Pay attention to what is about to be played on your screens.
A code, a mafiosi code. We keep each other's secret. It's only when you break rank, you go there and expose us, and for that, we're going to kill you politically. It's the code of the Cosa Nostra. As long as we stay together, we will survive together. And we agree not to breach the code of secrecy.
Do you remember that? The Cosa Nostra. The Cosa Nostra is a crime syndicate involved in murder, kidnapping, drug addiction, drug involvement, illegal drugs, racketeering, corruption, human trafficking, and the extortion of businessmen. That is what Cosa Nostra is. This is a prime minister who is boasting of operating like a mafia, demanding secrecy or else they will kill you politically. So when you have a prime minister glorifying crime and misconduct, what is the message that he is sending to young people in this country? It is this kind of gangster talk that has contributed to the glorification of gang culture, thuggery, and violence in our country. And let me show you how all of this is related to the expenditure of your money. Imagine you get your bank statement and when you look at it, you decide you don't like the income figure. You don't like how much money you are making. Now that's true for all of us, but what would you do? Would you storm into the bank and tell the bank manager that he should increase the figure in your bank account by a few $1 million? What do you think will happen? Do you think the manager will say, sure, no problem, and raise the account value? Hell no. The manager will ask you to show evidence of your claim. Show proof where these millions you say should be in the account. Show where it came from, when it was deposited. Provide copies of the checks, deposit slips, etc., etc. That is how financial integrity and auditing works to protect your money in the banking system. For the country of Trinidad and Tobago, we have what is called the Office of the Auditor General. This is an independent institution established under the Constitution of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. Independent means that the Auditor General is free from the interference of any politician. The role of this Auditor General is to conduct an independent audit of all revenue and expenditure by this government. Her objective, and I say her because in our current instance, she is a female. The objective is to obtain reasonable assurance that the financial statements are free from misinformation, whether due to fraud or to error, and to submit a report with her findings to the Minister of Finance, the Speaker of the House, and the President of the Senate, who are then required to lay it in the House of Representatives and in the Senate. That has been the practice from time immemorial. It is now history that the Auditor General has in fact done her job and submitted the reports of the Auditor General of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago in time. So Imbert got a copy, and just like I explained just now, Imbert got a copy towards the end of April. He didn't like what he saw. What transpired then is the worst example of governmental outreach, overreach, and abuse in this nation's history. How is this related to the Cosa Nostra gangster behavior the Prime Minister boasted about? What I'm telling you now is not secret. This is in the public domain. I'm just connecting the dots for you. There's an annual deadline to submit information. The Ministry of Finance submitted the information. 2 months after the deadline passed, the Ministry of Finance then wrote the Auditor General saying, hey, we discovered we made a huge mistake of $3,379,777,908. They claim that they had understated the revenue, so we're supposed to get more money. They claim they had understated the revenue by $3,379,777,908. Now that's a very specific number, $908. So they come up with that in some form or fashion. That is a massive figure. This is a huge figure. This is not the $5 you find in your pocket when you go to wash your clothes. Oh, I find $2. This is not that, you know. This is $3.4 billion. How are you going to misplace that? How? Imbert, but it gets worse, brother. It gets worse. Imbert's ministry then demanded that the Auditor General change the figure by $3.4 billion. She didn't. A couple of days afterwards, the ministry wrote again and saying that out of this $3.4 billion, they have now discovered that they had reconciled $2.9 billion and were trying to continue to reconcile the rest. To reconcile means that the ministry could now provide supporting documents, deposit slips and transfer forms, hard copies of transactions, etc., etc., etc. Ladies and gentlemen, let us rise and welcome the political leader of the United National Congress and the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Kamala Prasad Bissau.
Look at the stars, look how they shine for you. And everything you do, yeah, they were all yellow. I came along, I wrote a song for you. And all the things you do, it was called Yellow. So then I took my turn. Oh, what a thing to have done. And it was all yellow. Your skin, oh yeah, your skin and bones turn into something beautiful. And you know I love you so. You know I love you so. I swam across, I jumped across for you. Oh, what a thing to do. 'Cause you were all yellow. I drew a line for you. Oh, what a thing to do. And it was all yellow. Your skin, oh yeah, your skin and bones turn into something beautiful. And you know, for you I bleed myself dry. For you I bleed myself dry. Look how they shine for you. Look how they shine for you. Look how they shine. Look how they shine for you. Look how they shine for you. Look how they shine. Look at the stars. Look how they shine for you. And all the
Ladies and gentlemen, let us make a joyful noise. Welcome, 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 ladies and gentlemen. That is inspiration. That is motivation. Let us give another round of applause to our political leader, the Honorable Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and Dr. Gregory Bisesa, who was accompanying her tonight. So I was telling you, ladies and gentlemen, that the Auditor General was given a letter of instruction saying change the figures, increase the revenue by $3.4 billion. Well, there was some toing and froing, etc. And the Auditor General eventually said, oops, sorry. The Auditor General eventually said, listen, you say increase the figures, bring your documentation, provide the evidence. They said that they had the evidence. Now, this is not some fly-by-night company. This is the Ministry of Finance under Coleman Booth that said $3.4 billion is our figure. She said, okay, I'm going to come and audit it. And she sent the auditors. All the ministry had to do was say, here, these are the documents. These are the supporting documents that they say they reconciled. They say they had supporting documents. The truth of the matter is, ladies and gentlemen, and it's in the Auditor General's report, that the Auditor General sent a team, and when they went there, the Ministry of Finance did not provide the supporting documents. They did not provide the supporting documents, Madam Speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, Madam Speaker, I thought it was in Parliament. Ladies and gentlemen, only Coleman Booth and the persons under his direct control could tell this country today why no supporting documents were provided to justify the money they say they had reconciled, they had proof of. Now, yesterday, on his return from his almost monthly plane ride, the Prime Minister described this imbroglio between the Ministry of Finance, the Attorney General, and the Auditor General as unnecessary and dangerous bacchanal. Well, he should have told that to his ministers who openly attacked a senior public servant because they thought she was weak. They thought she would tremble when they start to bray. They attacked her without an investigation. Well, to her credit, Ms. Ramdas decided that she was not going to fold up. She was not going to simply compromise her integrity because of the bullying of two PNM ministers following their Prime Minister's example. According to Rowley, he says in his Oxfordian accent when he read it, I wouldn't even try to imitate him. As Prime Minister of the country, I don't take lightly a public official, especially one in audit, that says to the rest of the world that the finance minister is engaged in backdating the books. He says that is a very, very serious allegation with far-reaching consequences. Well, Prime Minister, in case you were closing your fridge door and didn't hear it, in a press conference last week, Colm Imbert, in a press conference, admitted in the first instance that his ministry had submitted a backdated statement of revenue which reflected a new figure, but with a false date of submission. In so doing, ladies and gentlemen, Imbert was forced to admit that his document supplied by the Ministry of Finance, his ministry, was fraudulent, as the date on which it was purported to have been submitted at the end of January was totally false. In fact, it was submitted months afterwards. So, a backdated letter was sent by the Ministry of Finance exactly as the Auditor General complained about. Imbert admitted it. So what now, Mr. Prime Minister? Where are the far-reaching consequences? You don't need to wait on any investigation. It is already in the public domain that an illegal, fake, fraudulent letter was submitted and demands were made on the Auditor General to act on it. That is fraud. But you know, like you and I expect Pete Rowley to do absolutely nothing about that. Not a thing. Because this is a Prime Minister who rewards incompetence. Just look at Hines. And I know that hard to do. Believe me, I know that hard to do. But just look at that fella. Rowley said too that he was in constant contact with Imbert. You mean Imbert didn't tell him that he had confessed 2 or 3 days before that an illegal backdated letter was submitted? You mean that's true? Imbert set him up. He didn't tell him that he had a whole press conference and admitted to this illegal activity. How does the PNM Mafia Code fit into that, ladies and gentlemen? Well, let me tell you how. If the Auditor General had conceded and changed the revenue figures like they demanded, although unsubstantiated, based on a backdated illegal letter, then the country would never have known about this multi-billion-dollar error. And I put error in it. Rowley's code of silence would have been maintained, but they did not count on the true independence of the Auditor General, ladies and gentlemen. So when they demanded that the Auditor General's accounts be changed to show higher revenues without providing supporting documents, even when requested, they expected blind compliance. They expected blind compliance in an unethical and a corrupt act. And when it was refused, they sought to follow the Prime Minister's instruction and destroy the Auditor General politically and professionally. Imbert in Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, claimed he washed his hands. He said, I had nothing to do with this, nothing to do with this. This is the ministry officials. You know, a few days ago it was discovered that Imbert picked up the phone and called this lady's private number and bullied her, trying to get her to engage in this corrupt act. I challenge Mr. Colmember tonight to deny that that is true, that he called the Auditor General and demanded that she make changes to the audit report, despite the fact that he couldn't support the documents. He bullied, and to her credit, we'll get to that. But what kind of creature is that? Somebody says Adwen. Somebody says Adwen. Somebody says a shorter version of an ugly Dwen. What kind of person is that? Think about this, ladies and gentlemen. We might laugh about it, but this is a very serious matter. The Minister of Finance was trying to get an independent Auditor General to cook the books. And when she refused, he then took her around to using his office in a smear campaign. And this is not the first time, ladies and gentlemen. Just a few days before, the Auditor General complained that she received another phone call before that one with the Auditor General's report, before that one, when she complained that when she wrote a report about the Heritage and Stabilization Fund, that the minister again called and said, change it. So he taught in for a long time now. And not just is he taught in, but you, the taxpayers, are going to have to pay the price for his taught in. I hope when we form in the next government, I will appeal to the Honorable Kamla Prasad Visesa as Prime Minister then to ensure that when malfeasance like that takes place, that those persons, that kind of minister, pay for it out of their own pocket. Pay for it out of, if you're so convinced that you're right, pay for it out of your pocket. I wouldn't bother to challenge Rowley and Imbert to do that, because this is a cover-up. This is a cover-up. But bear in mind, like I said, when a Prime Minister instructs his ministry, when he instructs his ministries to behave like Cosa Nostra, like part of a scandal, part of a mafia, when a PNM Minister of Finance, Prime Minister and the Attorney General will try to bully an independent office holder into acting illegally and against her professional code of conduct, and they see nothing wrong with that, this country is then being run by thugs, bullies, and crooks. If a Prime Minister will pretend to close his eyes, state, then he is facilitating the abuse of office. Where is the evidence in any case that this $3 billion came forward? Why didn't they produce this? You know why? Because they were cooking the books. It was not there. There's other, ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot more. I've gotten like my friend, my MP, Dr. Bodo. There's a lot more, but we're short on time. The Auditor General also reported that $1 billion in expenditure. How much Arnold says? $1 billion in expenditure has gone missing. They can't account for $1 billion in expenditure. You know what $1 billion is? I have never seen that kind of money. Never, never, never. I know some of them have, because I remember seeing a footage of a minister, now a minister of works, with boxes telling people how much money could fit in a carry box. I hear you, brother. What could $1 billion have done? $1 billion could have ensured that wells were dug, reservoirs created, small desal plants introduced, so that the people of Oropouche West didn't have to beg for water every day. $1 billion could have cleaned every river, every drain, every stream, so that people of Oropouche West and other areas would not have to be petrified of flooding. It is time for this discrimination to stop, my brothers and sisters. As I conclude, We are tired and fed up of being at the mercy of these criminals. This government boasts of being like a mafia, a criminal organization. And like a mafia, they're extorting from the citizens and feeding their friends, family, and financiers. And they are doing it openly. When a government descends into criminal conduct, they have to protect their criminal friends. And that is why we are facing the worst crime wave in our nation's history. And that is why this government is not focused on the criminals. They're targeting the licensed gun holders, ladies and gentlemen. We have had enough. The time has come now for you to save yourselves, save your family. Join the United National Congress. Join us, ladies and gentlemen, as we take this country back and save our country from this criminal government. I thank you, ladies and gentlemen.